I gotta admit, the end of the Fever Mercury game made me sit up for a second because it got a little spicy with Caitlin Clark having an interaction with Dewanna Bonner out on the middle of the floor, sort of waving her back to the bench.
What if a single, split-second decision could threaten to unravel a decade-long legacy? For one WNBA legend, a heated moment on the court became a public spectacle, an attempt to assert dominance that backfired so spectacularly it was broadcast to millions in real time. This wasn't just a confrontation. It was a changing of the guard, and the veteran involved seemed to realize her mistake the second it happened.
Now, we all know that the Indiana Fever is trying to make a push for the playoffs. We've been getting mixed signals coming out about Caitlin coming back, about Caitlin being, somewhat ready to go. Then we got Stephanie White saying it's day-to-day again, basically. Well, I'm here to tell you, Caitlin Clark is not shying away from making headlines.
On one side, you have Dewanna Bonner, a 5-time All-Star, a 2-time champion, a veteran who has earned her stripes through years of grit and dedication in a league she helped build. On the other, Caitlin Clark, the rookie phenomenon who has completely rewritten the rules of sports fame, drawing more eyes, more money, and more scrutiny to the WNBA than ever before. A collision was not just likely, it was absolutely inevitable. And when it happened, the cameras were waiting.
At this point in time. But that interaction stood out to me for a couple of reasons. I mean, number one, obviously, is the history there, where Dewanna Bonner was on the Fever for a cup of coffee and then winds up on the Mercury. Before the season, Caitlin Clark said she wanted to win a ring for her, right? She said, I want to win for her. And Caitlin Clark went out of her way to also, shine light on how Dewanna Bonner had risen up to the top of, near the top of the all-time WNBA scoring ranks. And then,
It all started with a few heated words from Bonner, a classic attempt to get under a young player's skin and show her who was boss. She puffed her chest out, stepping toward Clark with an aggressive energy meant to intimidate and establish physical dominance on the sideline. But Clark's response was something no one, least of all Bonner, expected. She didn't yell back. She didn't posture or engage. She simply raised her hand and gave a cold, dismissive wave, a talk to the hand gesture that effectively told a legend she was nothing more than an irrelevant distraction.
To the right, behind the coach, coming out and jawing at Dewanna Bonner. Dewanna Bonner said,
The entire arena felt the tectonic shift in power. The cameras, which already followed Clark's every move with an obsessive focus, zoomed in, capturing the raw emotion on Bonner's face, as she was so casually waved away like a fly at a picnic. This was no longer just a basketball game. It had become a live-action power struggle, a public challenge that had just been answered with complete and utter indifference. The optics were absolutely devastating for the veteran. Before the next possession even started, the clip detonated across the internet. It was clipped, memed, and dissected frame by frame by an army of online commentators. The verdict from the court of public opinion was swift, merciless, and brutal. Bonner was instantly labeled as pressed, salty, and insecure, while Clark was hailed for her ice-cold composure and gangster-level nonchalance. The internet had declared a winner, and it wasn't the player who was doing all the yelling.
One of the most clutchest players on the damn team. I'm not just saying that just to say it. Lexi Hall stand on business when it's time to play.
This digital wildfire wasn't just driven by fans. The professional media machine immediately seized the story. ESPN, Bleacher Report, and every major sports outlet plastered the clip on their home pages. It was the lead story on sports talk shows the next morning, with analysts debating the league's Clark problem. This single 10-second interaction generated more coverage than the game's final score ever could, proving that the drama surrounding Clark is now the WNBA's most valuable asset. But this moment didn't happen in a vacuum. It fit perfectly into a deeply disturbing pattern that has defined Clark's rookie season. From Chennedy Carter's infamous blindside hip check to the endless stream of online criticism from other players, a clear and undeniable narrative has formed. The league's old guard has a Caitlin Clark problem, and they are handling it with all the grace of a bull in a china shop. Each incident just adds another brick to the wall of perceived resentment. And you can't talk about the Phoenix Mercury's attitude without mentioning the shadow of Diana Taurasi. The undisputed GOAT has been publicly skeptical of the new generation, famously stating that reality is coming for rookies like Clark. Was Bonner's outburst an isolated incident, or was it a reflection of a team culture, led by Taurasi, that feels entitled to put the phenom in her place? Many believe Bonner was simply acting out the unspoken sentiments of her team's leader. It forces you to ask the deeply uncomfortable question, is this just rookie hazing, or is it rooted in pure uncut envy? You have to wonder if some veterans are watching a rookie command $1 million endorsements, fly on private jets, and sell out arenas across the country, feeling like their own years of thankless work building the league are being completely erased and forgotten. This isn't just about respect on the court, it's about a seismic shift in fame and fortune. This brings us to the fallacy of old-school toughness. The defenders of these actions claim it's just about testing the rookie, seeing if she can handle the physicality of the pros. But is it really toughness to jaw at someone from the sidelines or deliver a cheap shot when the refs aren't looking? In the modern media era, these actions don't look tough. They look desperate. It's a performative act that, under the HD lens of social media, comes across as profound weakness. Making matters exponentially worse were the referees, who stood by like disinterested statues during the entire exchange. Their shocking inaction and refusal to intervene only poured gasoline on the fire, reinforcing the powerful belief among fans that Clark is being intentionally left unprotected on the court. This perception transforms her supporters from simple fans into a fiercely defensive online army, ready to attack anyone who disrespects their star. Here lies the ultimate, inescapable irony. The Indiana Fever lost the game on the scoreboard, but in the war for the narrative, Caitlin Clark won by a knockout. The post-game shows, the trending topics, the water cooler conversations, they weren't about the Phoenix Mercury's well-rounded victory. They were all about the 10-second clip of Bonner's failed intimidation attempt, a moment that will now live in WNBA infamy. And while all eyes were fixated on the drama, an incredible and crucial performance was completely ignored. Lexi Hull of the Fever was quietly putting on an absolute clinic, dropping 18 points and playing lockdown defense that kept her team in the game. She was the one actually giving the Mercury serious problems, but her efforts were rendered completely invisible, swallowed whole by the drama vortex that constantly and unstoppably surrounds Clark. This highlights the immense pressure and chaos simmering within the Fever's entire organization. With consistently shaky defensive schemes and questionable late-game rotations, the team often looks outmatched and disorganized, forcing Clark to be not just a star player, but a miracle worker night after night. When the team is struggling to find its footing, these petty sideline beefs become an even bigger, more distracting story. Clark's response, however, reveals a strategic genius that goes far beyond her skills on the basketball court. She understands the modern media landscape better than anyone in the league. She knew that a calm, sarcastic, and nonverbal dismissal would be infinitely more powerful and more viral than getting dragged into a screaming match. She is playing a completely different game, one where a single gesture can win the day more decisively than any jump shot. The long-term damage to Bonner's carefully crafted image could be significant and lasting. In the eyes of millions of new WNBA fans who are just getting to know the league's stars, she's no longer just a respected champion. She's now a permanent fixture on the highlight reel of veterans who tried and spectacularly failed to diminish the league's brightest new star. That single moment now follows her everywhere. But here's the most controversial part of the entire story. The league secretly benefits from all of this chaos. While executives publicly preach sportsmanship and player safety, these viral clashes are driving engagement, social media impressions, and television ratings to unprecedented, historic heights. The drama, as ugly and unprofessional as it can be, is undeniably good for the bottom line. And that bottom line is where the real war is being fought. This isn't just about pride, it's about an unspoken financial battle. Clark's arrival has triggered a tidal wave of new money into the league, endorsements, broadcast deals, merchandise sales, and she is the primary beneficiary. For veterans on modest contracts who have played for years, seeing a rookie instantly become the league's financial center has to be a bitter pill to swallow. The tension isn't just about basketball, it's about cash. For Clark, this is all just more fuel for an already raging fire. She has shown time and time again that she thrives off the negativity, the doubters, and the constant attempts to rattle her. Bonner's sideline outburst didn't get in her head or break her focus. It likely just guaranteed that Clark will come out even more determined and more dangerous in their next matchup. She feeds on this energy. The aftermath of this clash sets the stage for the next battle. How will Bonner respond when they meet again? Will she double down on the aggression, or will she back off, having learned her lesson in the court of public opinion? Every future game between the Fever and the Mercury is now must-see TV, not just for the basketball, but for the next chapter in this simmering personal feud. In the end, Dewanna Bonner's instant regret likely wasn't just about looking foolish on camera, it was the slow, dawning, and horrifying realization that she had played directly into her opponent's hands. She didn't expose a weakness. She helped build the myth, solidifying Clark's narrative as the unflappable hero who cannot be intimidated. She became a willing, if unwitting, pawn in the story of Caitlin Clark, leaving everyone to wonder if the old guard is slowly destroying its own legacy by fighting a war it simply cannot win.